For the record, my name is Brian Worrell, District 4 City Councilor, and I am the Chair of the Boston City Council Committee on Ways and Means. Today is May 28, 2024. This hearing is being recorded. It is also being live streamed at boston.gov/city-council-tv and broadcast on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, and Fios Channel 964. The Council budget review process will encompass a series of public hearings that begin in April and will run through June. We strongly encourage residents to take a moment to engage in this process by giving testimony for the record. You can do this in several ways. 1, attend one of our hearings and give public testimony. We will take public testimony at the end of each departmental hearing and also at tonight's hearing dedicated to public testimony. The full hearing schedule is on our website at boston.gov/council-budget. You can give testimony in person, here in the chamber, or virtually via Zoom. For in-person testimony, please come to the chamber and sign up on the sheet near the entrance. For virtual testimony, you can sign up using our online form on our Council's budget review website or by emailing the committee at ccc.wm@boston.gov. When you are called to testify, please state your name and affiliation or residence and limit your comments to a few minutes to ensure that all comments and concerns can be heard. 2, email your written testimony to the committee at ccc.wm@boston.gov. Or 3, submit a 2-minute video of your testimony through the form on our website. For more information on the City Council budget process and how to testify, please visit the City Council budget website at boston.gov/council-budget. Today's public testimony session is on dockets number 0670 through 0672. Orders for the FY25 operating budget, including annual appropriations for departmental operations for the school department and other post-employment benefits. Docket number 0673 through 0675, orders for capital fund transfer appropriations. Docket number 0676 through 0678, orders for the capital budget, including loan orders and lease purchase agreements. These matters were sponsored by Mayor Michelle Wu and referred to the committee on April 10, 2024. The focus of this hearing will be to discuss the public testimony regarding the FY25 budget. Today, I'm joined by my council colleagues, Vice Chair of the committee, Vice Chair Pepin, Councilor Flynn, Council President Louis Jen, Councilor Murphy, Councilor Coletta Zapata, and Councilor Mejia. I will now turn it over to my councilor colleagues for opening statements. Vice Chair Pepin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you so much for the community for being out here tonight. I was just mentioning to Chair Worrell how pleased I was with seeing so many of you come out tonight, but also how many emails we received in advance from the community members from every single neighborhood. And I think that nights like tonight are very important because we get to hear from what you all care about. And I've heard everything from workforce development, housing, job opportunities, making sure that our schools are getting funded, making sure that our streets are being fixed. And that's what I like to hear. And it's from the people that I like to hear the most. And for those watching at home, and for those of you who have sent emails, I got them, and I hear you. So that's why I'm here, just continue to listen to you all, to make sure that we're working with you all, to make sure that budget is representative of what you're asking for. But again, I'm just thankful that you're here tonight to share your remarks with you all. So thank you. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you. Councilor Flynn, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the important leadership you are providing, Mr. Chair. And I just want to echo what my colleague, Councilor Pepin, added is we're here to listen to public testimony. I also received a lot of emails, calls, texts, seeing people at the ball field, at church, at veterans events. So we're here to listen. This is an opportunity for residents to weigh in, and it's an opportunity for city councilors to listen. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Council President Louis Jen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for holding this. I believe this is the third session that we've held pursuant to your leadership that's devoted exclusively to public testimony, one of which being out in community at the Frederick in Dorchester. So just want to shout out to you. I think this is a really great state of progress, in addition to each budget hearing being an opportunity for public hearing. So we've had a great opportunity to hear from the people, really think about how we make this budget a reflection of what we value as a city and as we inch towards that. So just looking forward to hearing from community to make sure that this budget is reflective or getting closer to what our collective vision for the city of Boston is. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Murphy, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the public for being here. Also, hearing from the community is important as we're heading into the last few hearings and taking a vote soon on the budget. And what I'm hearing from community is issues as important, as public safety and trauma response to more dog parks and trash pickup at, our ballpark. So all of those are important, but it's also important that we're listening to your voices, if it's calls, emails, texts, but these opportunities here are great for us before we take a vote in a few weeks. So thank you for being here. Looking forward to hearing from the community.
Thank you. Councilor Coletta Zapata, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. And as it's been said, thank you for your leadership in providing this space for community. We've been hearing from everybody via email and at the end of our budget hearings, but provide space like this is very intentional, so I just want to thank you again. Talking about advocacy, I also I often say that we are not people's voice, but we are their microphone. They have their own voice, they can advocate for themselves, but in many instances, they are not at the table. This tonight is for people to utilize the microphone, take up all the space that you can, take up all the time. We are really here to listen. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Councilor Mejia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. That's right, Counselor. I am not your voice, I am your microphone. And really, this is your microphone today, so I'm really happy to see you all here. I just want to uplift a few things. One is that I see Donna from Determined Divas here, who really hates attention, but I'm just going to call attention real quick to we founded an organization called Determined Divas, and I remember one of the hearings, not even a hearing, one of the, we used to do these accountability dialogues in community with elected officials, like a decade or so ago, so that electeds could be reminded of the fact that they work for us and that they had to be accountable to us. And it's important for us to recognize that we are 13 city councilors. We're here representing the entire city of Boston, and our responsibility is not to just listen and say, yes, great, thank you, check the box here. But if the budget at the end of the day does not reflect what we've heard, then we've missed the moment to really listen to the people. And so my hope is that as we continue to hear, that we're actually not only just taking notes, but that we're delivering. And that's what this body is going to do, my hope is really listen to what the people have to say, and then more importantly, do something about it. Because the fact is that it's 6 o'clock on a Tuesday evening, and you are utilizing your time to fight for not just the things that you want, but for the things that this city needs, and for so many people who couldn't be here to speak for themselves. So we have a responsibility and an opportunity to really deliver. And we'll just see if that is what we're really all about come the time when it's time to make those hard decisions on that money.
Thank you. Again, I just want to echo what my council colleagues have said. I want to thank all the residents that came out today. This couldn't have happened without the public testimony and centering public voice. I want to thank my colleagues for also pushing the word out. And I think that speaks to the engagement that we received through email, through the online testimonies that we'll be receiving today too, is that we all work together, whether it's on Instagram, emails, to make sure that we're centering people and doing the outreach that's needed to let people know that it's budget time and this is your tax dollars that need to continue to work for you. So I want to thank my colleagues for getting the word out, central staff as well, and also my team. But we're here to listen, here to take notes, here to have that conversation prior to us going into our second amendment working session, and that's when we'll start discussing what amendments, what changes we're going to be having in the budget. So I wanted to make sure that councilors heard from communities before diving deeper into amendments. So that's why I wanted to schedule this public testimony today. So now we'll move it on forward to public testimony. We're going to go back and forth from in person to online. So when you hear your name called, please come down to one of the podiums and state your name, neighborhood, and organization affiliation. Please speak into the microphone, and please keep your comments to 2 minutes, starting with Dr. Kamara. The floor is yours. And then followed by Angie online.
Thank you very much, councilors and chairman. My name is Jemadari Kamara. I'm a professor in the Africana Studies Department at UMass Boston. I'm here to offer some brief testimony, not so much regarding the academic program that we have at UMass Boston, but rather the community engagement activities in which we've been involved now for some 50 years. This fiscal year coming forward is the 50th anniversary of the Africana Studies Department at UMass Boston. Certainly you're aware of the critical concerns around funding of public higher education. And so in order to support the community engaged activities in which we've been now involved for several decades at the institution, I am here to solicit your support. There are a number of these activities that have gone on and will continue through this coming year that I'd simply like to highlight, because we have a responsibility as faculty at the institution and staff to become engaged in our community. And we've done so by both reaching out, working with community partners in programs such as the Let's Walk Together program. I think several of the counselors have been with us in that program, Councilor Mejia and Louis-Jean, who have participated with us in that. The annual Dr. Martin Luther King Milcar Cabral commemorative program, which Councilor Worrell was there last year when we hosted the president of Cabo Verde, who on the 25th anniversary of that program actually spoke. And it's one which highlights the linkage in our community between the Cabo Verdean community and the African American community as a whole. This weekend, we're hosting a health conference focusing on the Haitian community here in town. And so we are asking for support to continue this during the 50th anniversary program of the Africana Studies Department. And we're working in conjunction with the alumni who are organizing themselves. They will have testimony that will come forward in written form to you. Unfortunately, weren't able to be here, but they will be, I hope, online, but also in written form in conjunction with these activities that we're engaged in. Thank you.
Thank you. Angie?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you, members of the City Council. My name is Angie Liu, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Asian Community Development Corporation in Chinatown. We are also part of Chinatown Hope, a collective of 8 community organizations that work to advance open space and wellness in Chinatown. I'm here to express our disappointment that the capital budget does not include the $1 million the Boston Transportation Department needs for the creation of a permanent plaza at Phillips Square in Chinatown. The redesign of Phillips Square offers an important and timely opportunity for Chinatown to expand its green and open space. Chinatown residents are frustrated about the lack of open space and see it as an inequity. We have about 2 acres of open space per 1,000 residents versus close to 8 acres for the rest of the city. Our neighborhood has less park space than most other neighborhoods in the city. We have 3% versus 23% citywide. Chinatown also suffers from heat island effect and lack of tree canopy. During the summer, the Chin Park by the gate can get as much as 10 degrees hotter than elsewhere. More green and open space is needed in this neighborhood to promote health, community cohesion, and prepare us for climate change. Outdoor space for connection is especially important for the long-term health of our elderly who spent too much time in isolation during the pandemic. The plaza that has been in place at Phillips Square since 2019 has proved to be a great passive space for intergenerational community members and for community events. However, the current low-budget design has demonstrated the viability of a gathering space here, but we need capital investment from the city to create a cohesive design for lighting, accessible paving, green infrastructure, shade, and functional seating. 2 weeks ago, I was part of a meeting with the Chief of Streets, Jasha Franklin Hodge, and Councilor Flynn in Chinatown. Dozens of residents expressed frustration with the city's long-term lack of investment in Chinatown, which has resulted in substandard street and sidewalk conditions and decreased quality of life. Chinatown residents feel that the city does not respond to their concerns with the same level of speed and resources as other wealthier neighborhoods. So we are especially disappointed to see that this capital budget failed to include a Phillips Square project, which reinforces the sense that Chinatown matters less than other neighborhoods. Therefore, I strongly urge you to amend the capital budget to include Phillips Square so that there are proper funds for the redesign and creation of a permanent open space in the heart of Chinatown. Thank you for your consideration and the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Clifton in person, followed by Aline online.
Good evening, everyone, Council. My name's Clifton Braithwaite, proud son of Jerry and Gloria Braithwaite. And all y'all here know me. I'm committed to our community, period, since the age of 8. And my 3 focuses is on trade schools, and I'm gonna be brief, trade schools, protecting our elderly, since there's a high increase of homelessness for our elderly, and definitely public safety. And thank you for letting me speak. At the end of the day right now, trade schools are one of the most important avenues for the middle class. And I'm a prime example of that. My father made his way through Venezuela to Trinidad to America. And it was him meeting the owner of GE where he was able to open up his company. And in less than 2 years, he had a 5-year plan, and within 2 years, he moved my mother to America. That's why I'm the first American born in my family. It's about putting our differences to the side. It's about working collectively. I have everything in writing, and through this next week, I hopefully can get time for each and every one counselor to speak to you privately about what I believe in the People's Academy and what I could do for our community overall. But what's weighing heavy on my heart is our elders. When I was running Elizabeth and part of Elizabeth Warren's campaign, my mother came down with dementia. It's been a lonely fight. I'm not one that can ask for help. I'm one that can give the help. And that's why I fight for the unheard voices in our community. I'm asking y'all to sit down with me next week, and I have facts, data, and I have a great law team, and we made it feasible to be understandable for everybody. I pray that this new generation of us that are engaged as community leaders, elected officials, and now my friends are calling me a statesman, we have to make the change in our community. I can work with every one of y'all from this side of the fence. There's a few different organizations behind me that will be online. I have a brother here that runs a basketball program, and he's going to need help. But I am more than willing to work with each and every one of you on things that you may not know and things I can learn. You have the opportunity to have a legacy that no other council could do. Change starts now. And I'm asking you, each one of y'all, if you don't have my number, you're not to get in touch with me. I'd like to meet with each of y'all next week, one at a time. I don't have a big budget, so I can't take you to the most expensive dinner. But I really want to talk to you heartfelt, because I know what the trades did for my family. I know it protected our land in Trinidad and in Venezuela. If I sat down with you and told you the stories of what I've dealt with personally, you would know why I'm driven to help others. This is one of the most beautiful towns in the country, and we've come a long way. Let's not drop the ball now. Let's work together collectively and let's do this thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Clifton. Eileen, and then Andre in person.
Okay. Thank you so much, Councilor Worrell and Councilor Pepe, for allowing the public to have these testimonies. So my name's Eileen Boyle. I have been on the Residency Compliance Commission as a volunteer for the last 30 years. And I just want to emphasize to everybody on the council to please protect the residency ordinance. The residency ordinance has worked. It has been a long road. And if we could change only one thing in the residency ordinance is to get the teachers back under the umbrella of residency. They are protected by the state. And just imagine the changes we would see in the school department if we had teachers actually living in the city. But what I want to talk about is workforce housing. Workforce housing for us city employees is crucial to retain and recruit dedicated city workers. I know that there's a hearing coming up, and I want to thank Councilor Mejia and Councilor Weber for being sponsors for this workforce housing. There are many ideas that we can do this without a huge budget. We may need a little bit of money in the housing department just to oversee and help city workers get these units across the city. But I look forward to hearing more from Councilor Mejia and Councilor Weber, and I look forward to attending the hearing in the near future. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Andre, and then Puck online.
Yes, I'd like to say my name's Andre Brown. I'm from the JFK, Dorchester area. I represent a group called the X-Men of Boston, and we're out of Washington Park. It used to be Washington Park, now it's called Malcolm X Park. That's why we're the X-Men. And we've been doing a Father's Day barbecue for 15 years where we give laptops, cash to college-going students. And we do a barbecue where we feed about 300 people. We charge nothing. We put this money all together ourselves, and we're doing really good. So right now, we're trying to ask for your help so we can do a lot more. And what we'd like to do is this fall is we're working with Applebee's to do a pancake fundraiser at the Applebee's here in Dorchester, where you can raise some more money, bring in people, and also speak about, at the barbecue, we're doing everything for the public, but at Applebee's, we'll have time to bring in somebody, which we're thinking about, from Dimmick Street, so we can talk about health for the community as men. So we want to do more, and then also adopt a elementary school, because that's where it all begins. So we've been doing the Father's Day barbecue just to let people know we're there, but we want to do more. And we want to help out the community as much as we can. That's why we're looking to do the pancake fundraiser. And I'll let you know, I'm a veteran, Air Force veteran, disabled from the military, but I'm still trying to give back to my community. And we really need your help, because we've been doing this 15 years all by ourselves. Imagine what we can do if we had a little help from the city. And now we're about to do a national thing with Applebee's. Come on, get with this. Thank you very much, and I'm glad you're my microphone. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Andre, and thank you for your service.
And could I leave a wristband? And
yes.
something? Thank you.
Absolutely. Puck online and Carol in person.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Puck Malamud, and I am a cataloger and classifier at the Boston Public Library, as well as the secretary of the Boston Public Library's Professional Staff Association. I want to draw the counselor's attention to the interconnected issues of wages and understaffing at the public library. We are wildly understaffed to the point that morale, especially in the branches, is at a nadir. The current vacancy list does not accurately reflect the true understaffing at the library. And this level of understaffing will continue until wages increase because nobody wants to move to Boston at the current offered salaries. My department, cataloging and processing, has just lost yet another serials cataloger candidate because of the mismatch between the offered salary and the cost of living in Boston. When we bring up these issues at the bargaining table, the city representatives point out that we are some of the highest paid city employees. So think about that. If we're struggling, what about our colleagues? We need, and our fellow city workers need, wage increases that at minimum meet inflation, not to mention the increasing cost of living. With respect, a 2% annual wage increase is a pay cut. Meanwhile, our rents are going up. Without staff, the library is just a building, and yet every year that the administration and the city fail to show true material support to library staff, we lose good people. Like our social worker, who single-handedly ran the social work program at the library and whose recommendations to improve staff morale have been repeatedly ignored. Like my roommates, who were both Boston Public Library public service employees when we first moved in together, who have found other jobs in other libraries and will be moving out of Boston at the end of our lease, and whom I will miss terribly. Every staff member who leaves the BPL is a real loss to the communities we serve. I urge you to structure your budget with an eye toward attracting and retaining staff because the current budget will not do that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Carol, followed by Julia online. And sorry, before I just want to acknowledge that Councilor Santana has joined us. Floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Carol No. I'm actually a resident of Boston. I'm from the Roxbury community. So I'm representing myself as a homeowner, and I'd like to start off my testimony with a 40-second voice message.
Hey, Carol, it's Sheila Dillon calling. Sorry, I meant to get hold of you Monday, and then I was waiting for them to send me the report, which I haven't read yet. But everybody here is very aware of your situation, which is good. That, you know, they had the report. They just got a report from an inspection last week. I guess we're going to bring on a new contractor to fix the work. We know it's going to cost us some. We're going to get this done. We're not going to leave you in the lurch. So anyways, I just want to let you know that I want to return your phone call, but I want you to know that I am getting up to speed on the case, and I will personally make sure that you are satisfied. But please give me a call back, 617-635-4352. Bye-bye.
So this is in direct relations to my participation in a program called Homeworks Help. The lack of response at the time of reporting enormously frustrating roofing issues, citing serious workmanlike issues that I've had 2 third-party companies provide me with a report, and I've documented this. In addition to that, I've spoken to 15 plus different roofers through the course of this experience, and all have consistently pointed out to these issues. And then I was told to go down to the construction office in Hyde Park to get the then contractor's insurance policy to learn that there was no insurance policy on file. And the second discovery I came across is that that very same roofer wound up closing his business and now works for the city of Boston as a building inspector. So the lack of any type of corrective action taken by this program is just deplorable. I think that it really needs to have a good examination or audit of this program, because basically I provided and I trusted this organization, having no idea that I would be faced with such insurmountable harm and damages to my home. I expect and hope that this committee in some way can make me whole after they have put liens on my property, after I have continued to live with water coming into my house. I'm exhausted. I've tried every avenue to communicate with this organization and other members. So I'm here today because I really feel like I've been scammed. It's unfortunate because I did pay some of my own money towards this new roof, in addition to the fact that I have liens on my property and I'm still in the same condition. So hopefully this could be remedied soon. It's taking a toll on my health and it's exacerbating.
Thank you. Carol, Matt, if you could take Carol's information, and we'll follow up with you, Carol.
Thank you.
Thanks. Carol, can you repeat the name?
Homeworks Help.
WRKS?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think that's the company. Julia, online, and then Roe in person.
Good evening, members of the City Council. My name is Julia Zubiago, and I am testifying as a member of the Boston Education Justice Alliance, which is a coalition of educational equity advocates who are dedicated to ensuring that communities most impacted by racial and class disparities are centered in education. I am here because Beja has significant concerns about the current state of the Boston public school system. First, I support the BPS student demands for clean, renovated, and sustainably powered buildings because it's important for students to learn in classrooms with basic things like temperature regulation and no pests or dust or mold and good air quality. Students deserve school facilities like libraries and gyms and science labs, as well as clean and functional bathrooms that are appropriate for all genders and all peoples with accessibility needs. Mayor Wu said in the document docket 0671 that BPS will address the end of ESSR funding by finding efficiencies in operations and by consolidating under-enrolled classrooms. When I look more closely at the long-term facilities plan that was rolled out by the Wu administration and BPS leaders to address those concepts, I see a piecemeal approach for new school buildings and closures and mergers. Students are going to be moved all around the city to different schools, and the schools that are being closed are targeting particularly the schools with the largest number of Black students, such as the Blackstone or the Mill King schools. Educators and families were notified on May 9th what would be happening with their school closure, their mergers, or the closure process. There was no community engagement in that process whatsoever. And according to data that was collected by the Green New Deal / the Build BPS Stakeholders Group, there are 46 schools that don't fit a feasible model as defined by BPS, and this serves over 9,000 students, the vast majority of whom are Black and Latina. Out of those 46 schools that don't fit a feasible model in the eyes of BPS, 11 of them have utilization percentages of between 36 and 85%. So their student enrollment is not at 100% capacity. And of those schools, all of them have overall facility scores under 50 out of 100, and 19 have no capital projects planned for 2024 through 2028 to address those facility scores. And out of those 46 schools, a disproportionate number are in Roxbury. So, with that in mind, Boston City Councilors, as we were planning your budget, I urge you to work with BPS and release a full long-term plan for facilities that are in the district with specific building plans. And I urge you to use the Racial Equity Planning Toolkit, which is specifically designed to think through the impact of the facilities plans and whether or not they are equitable based on race, socioeconomic status, disability, and linguistic needs, and share the results of these analyses publicly. And I urge the council to work with BPS so that before merging or closing any schools, BPS must have a new and modern facility ready for students in the affected school systems. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Rove?
Good evening, everyone. I am Ramilda Pereira, the founder of Project Turnaround, a longtime resident of the city of Boston. I am here because I'm deeply troubled by the lack of resources and support for the Black and brown community in Boston. Despite promises of equity and inclusion from our city administration, we are still facing a high school dropout rates, increased juvenile arrests, and violent incidents in our neighborhoods. Our schools are suffering from inadequate HVAC and water systems, putting our children's health at risk. Despite the promises made by the city officials that look like me regarding equity and inclusion, we continue to see lack of allocation of funds where they are needed most. It is disheartening that those in position of power are, after elected, dismiss our concerns and label us as troublemakers for speaking out for our children and our community. We deserve not only to be heard, but to see real measurable change implemented. Yes, some studies show that crime is down. However, our neighborhoods continue to suffer. Swimming pools, we have 8 pools still closed when part of the budget last year was to fix those pools. We see 13 to 17-year-old Black males not in school, not employed, wandering through their own neighborhoods, an increase in juvenile arrests and recent incidents of violence like the drive-by shooting this afternoon, steps away from a daycare center. The same orgs continue to be funded with various status quo outcomes. There's no tracking, no audit, there's no transparency, at least from the community's standpoint. How do we have the same youth listed in different organizations and those youth still continue to need resources? People who lived, born, and raised in this city for generations having to move because they can't afford it anymore. Pointless infrastructure and potholes costing residents way more to fix their car than they should be. This is a direct attack on communities of color. We don't even have bad winters for the streets to look like the way they do. But that's a whole other hearing. A holistic youth job approach would create opportunities for all our youth. For an example, every young person wants to go to the NFL, but they can't. But there's jobs within the NFL for everyone, just like everyone isn't going to be a city councilor. But what about the chief of staff or mayor's aide that could mentor them and they could learn from and take those positions? There are 13 counselors, and I don't care what your race is, what your color, your favorite sport is. Each of you are responsible and will be held accountable for your choices and decisions. And by the look of who showed up today, I'm just thinking, like, where's everybody at? Keep in mind that all your seats are up 2025. So the decision you make today is going to impact us, and we're all watching. Thank you for giving me this time. I look forward to keeping all of us held accountable through this process.
Thank you. Jawan, followed by Larry.
Thank you so much, Councilor Worrell. Can you hear me, everybody?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jawan Skeens. I am a candidate for Massachusetts State Senate serving the 1st Suffolk District. I am a community organizer for Redefining Our Community Neighborhood Association in Dorchester, as well as the Common Square Neighborhood Council. I rise with just a few budget item requests. One, I wanted to echo the sentiments of Clifton about the trade schools. I definitely believe there needs to be more investment into the People's Academy, as well as not just Madison Park, but every school within Boston Public Schools should allow our kids to learn a trade. The second thing would be the Disabilities Commission. As you guys know, I advocated for the Norfolk Street Bridge since 2019. We are still waiting for updated ADA compliant stairs for our people with disabilities, so I would like to see more money in the budget for that. As far as the Age Strong Commission, I want to see more funding for senior jobs and programming for our seniors. For re-entry, before our inmates are coming out of prison, they should know where all of the resources are for re-entry services, whether that be for jobs or for housing or anything of their need. For Boston Public Schools, attended all Boston Public Schools. I want to see teachers receive more funding. I want to see better school lunches. I want to see better textbooks. I don't want to see mold on school buses. Similar to what the students are rallying for, they want to see clean drinking water, less restrictions on bathroom access. They want support around mental health, college and career counseling. They want better facilities for their gyms, auditoriums, as well as waste bins as well. Additionally, when it comes to affordable housing, I want to see more investment into the inclusionary development policy. As of right now, it's only at 13%. We need to increase it to 60% if we really want to feel the effectiveness of affordable housing across this city. Last three things, Boston Public Library. I definitely want to see more funding for our libraries, especially with Common Square with their renovations that are expected to be coming. And then I want to see more funding for the Black Male Advancement, as well as the Reparations Task Force for more outreach and providing them with more autonomy in order for them to be effective. Thank you all so much for the opportunity to speak today, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody soon. Get out there and vote on September 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Larry, followed by Pamela. Larry?
How you doing? My name is Larry from Together Come in Peace. I run a basketball program. I started it last year down to Phil's Corner, down to Dorothy. But I need a little help this year. You know what I mean? I'm right down near Park Ave, right across the street from Bradley's, the old Bradley's debris. I'm getting up and trying to grab the 15, 18-year-old kids before when they get out of high school or any kind of middle school or whatever, try to get them out. Before when they get out of high school, I'm going to try to get them and try to get them involved in my summer program, you know, which is down there playing 15, 18, but it's 10 teams. I'm gonna try to put entertainment and all that kind of stuff, so try to bring them out. Try to get them involved, you know what I mean, for about 3 months till they go back to school. So that'll give me enough time to implement. I got a lot of stuff I want to implement. It's just a lot of stuff. It's just I want to start off with the basketball with the 15, try to grab them and try to get them involved, because I think, you know what I mean, by getting them involved early, you know what I mean, when they get out of school, you know, stop them, get them involved, keep them active, you know, keep them involved in things, so, you know what I mean, so they won't bump their head against the wall, you know, so to give them more things to do, you know what I mean, instead of peer pressure, and so they can have, so there won't be no peer pressure, nothing like that. So what I'm trying to do is get 15, 18-year-old, give them a chance when they get out of school and get them involved in basketball and together and all that kind of stuff. I know I'm kind of nervous right now, but I'll get it together. You know what I'm saying? This is my first time.
You're doing good.
But
one thing he needs help in is vendors, to help him get the vendor information. I haven't had time to really sit down with him, but he needs help with being able to get the vendors so he can get the grant money from you guys and stuff like that. So that's what he needs to be walked through. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. And
Okay.
Matthew, if you could, thank you.
All right, thank you all.
Pamela, followed by JoJo.
Hello?
Hi, Pamela, the floor is
Hello?
yours. Hi, Pamela, the floor is yours.
Oh, brother.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me, Pamela?
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you.
Hello?
Pamela, we can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, call her. We'll come back to Pamela.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, but we're going to come back to
Hello?
you. Can we
I
go?
don't know what the problem is. Hello?
We'll come back.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
All right, we're going to come back to Pamela. Jojo? Is Jojo here? Okay. Nausicaa?
Hi. My name is Nausicaa Verdu, and I am from Hyde Park. And I'm back again to ask city councilors to help the community. My demand is for more funding to go to year-round youth jobs and proper pay increase for truly affordable housing and for cutting the police overtime. We're youth asking you to fund our community. We realize that there is too much reliance on the police to do jobs that the community can do. Jobs such as security details, construction details, security at cultural events, and so much more. You can't expect people who don't have a legal job to not go out and find an illegal job for food and housing if you're not investing in anything in the community that would give them food and housing. By continuing to give cops all these responsibilities and jobs, you're essentially locking up people for being poor. And it's sad to see people on the streets, on every single corner from here all the way to Hyde Park, asking for food, asking for money, or for a prayer because they simply have nothing. And it's not fair that they're not seen until they steal something. They're not seen until they're like literally at their breaking point. And they're literally asking you for you to see them now, and no one's really looking. And you guys have the power to change something, but y'all aren't willing to make those changes. And I want y'all to take a moment to ask yourself, what would you do if you had no money to fall back on? If you had a hungry child? If you had no job? What have you invested in the community in Boston that would support you until you got back on your feet? What have you invested in the community of Boston that would help you get food until you got back onto your feet? And if your answer is no, then that's something that you should be ashamed of, and that's something that you should be sad about, because you should be able to go into what you've invested and ask for help if you are a member of the city of Boston. I also would like you to remember, just a quick history lesson, that last time people in power had the ability to help the poor, they said, let them eat cake, and we know how that went, and essentially that's what you're doing when poor people are asking you to see them, to help them, and instead you continue to want to appease your cop buddies and keep them happy and keep them rich. And so essentially, we're asking you to push for youth jobs to be year-round, and even though we acknowledge the fact that there are city councilors up here who are saying that youth should not be the ones filling in the insecurity gaps in their homes, but if you're not working on any solutions for them to not have to do that, then your only other solution is to help fund year-round jobs. If you're saying that they shouldn't be the ones helping pay with bills, shouldn't be the one helping pay for food, then that is their current reality. It's not should, it's what can you do? Because they're going to do what they can do to feed their family until you give them the infrastructure to rely on something else. So you should make youth jobs year-round. My last demand is to also cut overtime and cap overtime. I've said this a million times. Take $16 million from the police budget to increase the youth job budget up to $37 million. And lastly, because I am from Hyde Park, I would like to personally ask Councilor Pepin, will you support an amendment that adds money for the youth jobs? Thank you so much.
We're going to go back online to Pam. Is Pam?
I told her to go straight into conversation. So
Okay, you told her? Okay,
yes.
Pamela King?
I'm calling again right now. I'm here to read JoJo's. I don't know.
Yeah, we're going back and forth, so JoJo will be next. Pamela, the floor is yours.
Go right into talking. The floor is yours. You're welcome. No, go right into it. There's other people speaking. Thank you. Go ahead. Bye-bye. stand on? Put your mute on. Take your mute off. Okay, now speak. Let me hear you. No, you're talking to me. Go to your computer. Your computer mic. That's community. Okay, then you gotta get off the phone with me.
Pamela, are you there? Pamela.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, they can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, great. Wonderful. I can hear you now.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. Yes, I am very concerned as it relates to the 2020 executive orders that declared Boston as a emergency and a health crisis as it relates to systemic racism. There were 8 executive orders. Executive Order 7 required that all city departments develop direct service programs to address the effects of racism. I was appalled at the Newsbreak article that castigated Councilman Anderson for being upset and hurt and angry about the racism in 2022. There has been no progress, no programs developed to address the effects of racism, which is joblessness. And we were at a hearing with the Councilman Weber's committee, and they stated, unemployment is 5%. Well, the truth is unemployment for Black people is 11%. So this is atrocious, and for Black people to get what they need, we need lucrative jobs. And that has been available to us through the $61 billion job construction boom, where Mr. T. Michaels has tried through the People's Academy using his own funds to train people to go into construction. And this is an emergency, this is a crisis, and you are not following your executive orders. All departments are not following their executive orders. I looked up how much was being spent on equity and inclusion. I couldn't find anything for the Neighborhood Trust Fund. I couldn't see any budget for the Office of Workforce Development. I saw money for economic opportunity inclusions, only $7 million. Diversity, 0. Equity, $3.3 million. Resilience and racial equity, no money. Black male advancement, I think it's like about maybe 1.9 million. But I couldn't find what they were trying to spend all of these funds on. So I didn't know what based on the budget information that you sent out, there's nothing telling you what these dollars are being spent for. I did look at the Black Men's Advancement proposed budget on another website that didn't have anything to do with the budget, and it stated that they wanted to spend $1.5 million to do research to find out if any there is a discrimination against Black men. I mean, they actually had the word "if any." When the city has been declared an emergency and a crisis, and I'm saying that the People's Academy has been here for 15 years and has an ability to, after 2 years of training, to catapult those construction jobs to make middle-class incomes, $60,000 to $80,000 a year. Joblessness will solve crime. Joblessness will solve the color. If we solve joblessness, we'll solve the color wealth gap. If we are able to give people lucrative construction jobs and fight the racism that is prolific in the unions, and we have to do something on an emergency basis. Just like the immigrants have emergency needs, the Black community has emergency needs, and we ask that you fully fund the People's Academy to get people to work for 2 years. They will train the people for 2 years, and they are working with people who will not go back to prison. It will lower the crime rate. It can solve so many of our crime problems, everything. So
Thank you.
I am
Thank you,
saying
Pamela.
right now that we want full funding. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jojo, followed by Erica online.
Hello. Hi. Jojo's sick, so he sent me his. Just so y'all know, Jojo is a 16-year-old youth of color. He says, "Hello, City Council. My name is Joaquim Lombos, and I live in Roxbury District 6. I'm also a member of the Youth Justice and Power Union. Time and time again, Mayor Wu has broken her promises that she's made to reduce the police budget and invest into the community. Instead, she's continued to put money into the police, increasing the budget by $50 million. This needs to stop. For the past 3 years, the police have underspent their permanent employees' budget by $6 million, but this year their budget for this is getting increased from $311 million to $350 million. This type of money could be used to make youth jobs year-round and increase the youth pay rates from $18 to to increase the youth pay rates from $15 an hour to somewhere around 18 to 20 per hour. It could also be used for things such as participatory budgeting. This isn't mine, so. City councilors, we demand that you reject the $50 million increase to the police budget and use this money to increase the money used for youth jobs, affordable housing, participatory budgeting, and the mental health crisis response. Thank you.
Thank you. Erica?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good afternoon. Thank you. My name is Erica Scotta J, and I live in Grove Hall. I am here tonight to testify to the need for funding for affordable public health COVID treatment access. Despite the end of the federal pandemic declaration, COVID remains with a 66% increase in the last 2 weeks, according to the city's wastewater monitoring dashboard. However, the city and the state public health websites both incorrectly state that Paxlovid treatment is available free via overnight delivery, but I learned that program was discontinued. Last week, my husband tested positive for COVID after accompanying me to the hospital. He needed Paxlovid to prevent me from catching it as I recovered from a minor surgery. Through the Commonwealth's free telehealth service, he received a prescription within 30 minutes, but picking it up at CVS turned into a financial hardship. His Tufts health insurance through the state health connector charged him $351.68 for 5 days of medication, more than his monthly insurance premium. A manufacturer's coupon and checking other pharmacies did not lower the cost. I had to choose between leaving the medication or paying an exorbitant price. This is a huge health equity issue. It's not lost on me that I was at the Grove Hall CVS, one of the few left in Roxbury's pharmacy desert, that my zip code has the highest age-adjusted premature mortality rate in the city, or that the Public Health Commission acknowledges COVID disproportionately impacts our BIPOC and immigrant communities. Now, I, a Native woman, face being priced out of critical medication for my husband, a Black immigrant with 102 fever at home. I wonder how many sick people have walked away empty-handed. For health equity, the city must provide correct, up-to-date information and resources to access affordable COVID treatment. No Boston resident should have to choose between Paxlovid, paying rent, or buying groceries. Thank you.
Thank you. Victoria, followed by Ella, and then Kiara.
Hello, my name is Victoria. I live in Dorchester and I'm with YJPU. I really want to talk about how youth jobs need more funding. Recently, I fractured my foot, and I wasn't able to take transportation anywhere because I was scared of just like being trampled on the MBTA or not having a seat. And the only way I was able to transportate to anywhere was through Ubers, which are expensive, and my mom can't constantly pay for, my ride to and from school or to and from work. And as a result, there would be days where I just couldn't go to school because I couldn't afford to, get to school or get to work. And the money I make at work is enough, but I still have other things I have to pay. Like I have to help my mom with rent. I have to get food. I have siblings to take care of. It's just inaccessible for me. And that's why I'm just asking for more money, because there's kids like me who honestly, my story may be impactful, but I know people around me, like friends and family, who just can't live off of this money. And as we know, it's not fair to rely on parents or rely on friends or family for money. So that's why we need to teach these kids like us to be independent. And in order to do that, we have to give them the step of funding the money. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Ella, followed by Kiara, and then Khalil.
Hello, my name is Ella Simone. I am from Dorchester and I'm 16 and I'm advocating for higher pay rates for youth. For this to be funded, ideally the money would be coming from the Boston police budget. Last year, 99 officers made more than $100,000 a year in overtime, and we need to reinvest this money towards things our community needs, such as youth jobs. In total, I'm asking for $37.6 million for youth jobs and have minimum rates for 14 to 18-year-olds be $18 to $20 an hour, which seems like a lot for youth, but when taking this into consideration, inflation has increased and the minimum wage, which we have now, which is $15 an hour, is not livable. I personally use the money I get from my checks to go towards my savings and important purchases. Savings is a big aspect to me due to the fact that I would like to attend college, and even though there are some things that I could cover, there are more expenses that I can't. I would like to attend, there are scholarships that can cover these funds, but as I said, a lot of them is more that I can't pay. There's also kids out there who have been doing jobs for multiple years and haven't been getting the compensation that they deserve. And I feel as though with the money that you can put towards youth jobs, this will be very, very, very good for them. Also, kids need to be able to provide food, clothes, and basic necessities for themselves, but in some predicaments, their families as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Kiara, followed by Khalil, and then JD Anel.
Hello, my name is Kyra Nunez. I live in District 7 and I'm a youth leader in Youth Justice and Power Union. I'm demanding that the city fully fund $37.6 million for good paying year-round youth jobs and 10 outreach workers and an increase of $16 million from the mayor's budget. I also demand that the city provide organizations the slots that they need and reserve any cuts, and the city is transparent with data about filling jobs and organizing slots. YJPU is also working on these demands. The city needs to add more money for youth jobs, affordable housing, mental health crisis response, and participatory budgeting, and stop the $50 million increase for the Boston Police budget. Today, I want to focus on increasing the pay rates of youth workers. The minimum wage went from $15 an hour in January 2023 and hasn't moved up since. The pay rate should be changed from $15 an hour to $18 to $20 an hour for 14 to 18-year-old youth, for 14 to 18-year-olds, and $22 to $24 an hour for 19 to 24-year-olds. This is a need because the older our youth get, the more responsibility they have in their own life, and only making $15 an hour won't cut it to sustain a living for themselves. More than you guys acknowledge, youth have to feed themselves and their siblings. Some even have to help their parents pay rent just to keep a roof over their heads. And while thinking about how inflation's increasing the prices of everything, do you really expect us to live off of $15 an hour? Following this demand, we need pay range for our young people to be able to gain experience and for the youth to take on more responsibilities and that have been in the same job for multiple years. They deserve the right compensation.
Thank you. Camille?
Hi, isn't my little sister so great? Okay, so my name is Khalil Howe. I'm from District 6. I spent a lot of time at City Hall testifying. I'm sure a lot of y'all recognize my face or the beads in my hair or whatever. And I'm pretty familiar with y'all, save for some of the new ones. But one thing I want to know is, rhetorically, obviously, because y'all can't answer back right now, but do y'all know why we're saying defund the police? Because when we go up here, we've been saying it for years, and it feels like y'all think we just hate the police for no reason or whatever. Like, we're asking to defund the police because we have nothing to do on Tuesdays, and we just want to get out here and be annoying. But it's like, have you ever thought about the crime system? Like, you think more police makes us safe, right? Do you think about how long we've had police for and how long we've had crime? Like, it's clear that, like, if we got rid of the police, well, if the police would get rid of crime, it would have got rid of crime a long time ago, right? So we need to put funds back into our community. You know, like all the people of color in this neighborhood, I mean, in this room right now are all saying the same things, right? And we have to look at it. We have to listen to y'all's constituents, right? We need to put funds back into our community. That's what creates safety. The more we invest in our community, the less people get incarcerated, the more families stick together, the more everyone's happy. I'm urging you to invest in youth jobs, truly affordable housing, participatory budgeting, and a community-led mental health crisis response. We're neglecting our community and throwing so much money at police. Let's look at the root cause. Why does crime happen? There are jobs that are legal and jobs that aren't legal. People are doing illegal work to provide for their families and get resources because our communities are underfunded. There aren't enough youth jobs, people having housing insecurities, etc. So everything's backed by violence, right? You know, when something happens to you, you go to the police. The threat of the police is the threat of violence, right? What happens when you have a conflict at work at your illegal job because you can't get a legal job? Just give me 30 more seconds. You can't have a legal job. With no threat of violence, right? You have the threat of violence. You use the violence. That's what creates crimes, right? So when you alleviate people's needs and they don't need to work illegal jobs, when they have what they need, when they have housing, when they have food, all these things, that's what stops violence. Adding more police doesn't stop violence. You're just getting people locked up. And it's like Nozika said earlier, it's just you're attacking poor people. And we just keep coming here and we keep telling you, like, defund the police, put money in our communities, and y'all think we're joking. Y'all think we just hate the police. Like, there's serious data and serious evidence behind this. Like, I don't understand what else we have to tell y'all. So stop the increase of the $50 million to the police budget. Put that money into the hands of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. JDNL, followed by Henry.
Hi, my name is Janaya. I live in Jamaica Plain. I'm here to talk about youth jobs again, how it's important. I'm demanding that the city council fully funds $37.6 million, good paying around year jobs, 10 outreach workers, and increasing of $16 million from the mayor budget. I just want to talk about, I've been in youth jobs since I was 14 years old. Now I'm 17 years old. And it's just like, we need more money. It's like, I've seen a lot of youth leave youth jobs because they love the support in the community, but they needed more money to help their family and help et cetera stuff. And then when they went to regular jobs like McDonald's and stuff like that, it was horrible, but they needed the more money. So I feel like you should guys give us more money. These are the same teenagers as me and other teenagers in Boston that wakes up early in the morning, go to school. Why would you want us to go to other jobs that are not really caring about us? It's very stressful enough. So you should give us the more money that we deserve. And for me personally, it's just like really disappointing how the mayor, I always come to these meetings, majority of the time I have time to, but I never see the mayor here. That's really disappointing. She's our mayor. Where is she? She's barely never here. But that's all I have to say for today.
Henry.
Hello, guys. I'm actually super nervous. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I just want to say hello to the councilman and everybody here. I came here to talk to you guys about something that deeply saddens me. It has to do with a family crisis that I currently go through. I have an older brother who suffers from mental health issues. He suffers from bipolar, OCD, and manic disorder. For years, I was the younger brother. I got to play the most and have the most fun. But up until now, my brother has switched roles, and I'm the older brother, and it comes down really hard on me. I just want to say, for how many times I've called the police this current month, I can say the police have showed up. I can say that for a fact. But from what I'm going through, from a mental health crisis, the mental health system has let me down several times, where my brother does sporadic behaviors and shows many signs of bipolar mania and many signs of delusion and grandeur. The system has let me down several times. And I just want to thank you guys for listening to me today. And I just want just a little more help with the mental health crisis. He's been admitted several times, but he's ran out of days for the amount of days he can be admitted for. So it's just really tough on my family. I just want to thank you guys for listening.
Thank you. My prayers with you and your family.
Appreciate it.
And Matthew, if you could follow up. And I do want to acknowledge for the record, the mayor is never at city council meetings. This is the city council meeting and hearings that we hold as a city council. Just wanted to clarify that for the record. Lisa. Lisa, followed by Patrice.
Feels good to be on this side. Lisa Searcy, lifelong City of Boston resident. Let's see, where do I start? Let's start off with thanking the counselors that are here. 8 out of 13 is not bad. You all are doing pretty good. Counselors can't show up. How can the community? Come on, let's work with each other. So let's start off. Same thing that's on the topics for this year's budget was on the same topics and agenda for last year's budget. So before anybody moves further with this preordained budget, let's track some of the money that has gone out. The adversities that our communities, especially of color, face, they're not a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, first of all. Mother's Day weekend, 3 migrant little girls ended up on my lap. I have access to everyone's phone number on this whole 5th floor, the mayor's side, this side. But what about the people that don't? Called everyone, no response. Julia Mejia responded, thank you, counselor. Called 311. 311 said, well, the protocol, so she read the protocol to me, verbatim. She said, well, take them to the DTA office. Well, ma'am, today's Saturday. Unbelievable. I was told to take these 3 babies back to the airport where they were traumatized. How dare we? And we're talking about moving forward with the budget. Can't even manage the budget that you have. Okay, then let's see, what else did I have? I'm sorry, because I wasn't going to speak. I'm not here to point fingers because there's 4 pointing back at me when I point. So this preordained budget, there's no accountability, there's no audit, there's no tracking. It's just, I mean, people that stand here come to council meetings week after week. No, don't you buzz me. These are voices with agendas. People that profess to be our voices, they don't speak for me. They speak for their own pockets. And I'm going to be honest. The same programming departments that are receiving funding, making 6 figures, they call people like Lisa, people like Roe, people like Donna, people like Clifton, people like Mingos. Let's track some of that money. Why call us? You got the funding. You're earning your salary. So again, before I say pause the budget, nobody should get another dollar until we find out where all the other money went. Thank you.
Thank you. Patrice, followed by Jacob.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Patrice Alves, and I am here on behalf of Life After Prison organization. I'm also standing on behalf of the other reentry organizations. We are a reentry organization, and since we have officially been a 501c3, I feel like there hasn't been really any attention to the organizations that's been doing the work. I feel like we would really appreciate if we can get you guys to show up, because we've been showing up and we've been actually having a tough time getting funding. It seems like a lot of the funds have been allocated to a lot of organizations that may have been doing it for a long time, but they're not really where we are in the hood doing the work. And it's a little discouraging when you're trying to collaborate with other organizations and it seems like we're all fighting for funds. It's like we're being pinned against each other. And I just want to create some awareness around the importance of people actually being able to get into the prisons, the people who are returning, and they call them returning citizens, but they are loved ones, they are families, they are friends. And you need people that are relatable. You need people that people can trust and who can actually give people that security. I feel like that there's not enough of us being recognized. And I do want to thank you guys, because we have been getting some support from a lot of political folks, but it will be really powerful if you could collaborate and just show up for us. I'm not demanding anything. I'm inviting you. If you go to the lifeafterprison.org, you'll see the wonderful things that we're doing and collaborating with a lot of other powerful organizations. So I'm speaking on behalf of the reentry organizations. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jacob, followed by Domingos.
Hello, can you hear me? My name is Jacob. I am from Hyde Park. I'm actually represent myself. I'm here to speak on the topic of education as it relates to the budget. And just a little bit of context, I work for Bunker Hill Community College. I work for the Hope Initiative. Hi, Julia. And we work with Black and Latino and Indigenous male students. The program was actually started to work specifically with Black and Latino male students because we were doing the worst at Bunker Hill. And that's not like a new statistic. We see that in the BPS school system as well. I realized that the BPS school system can give hope for whether it's college readiness, career readiness, job readiness, trades, what have you. I'm just speaking specifically to the higher ed portion. The hope is that two things I'm advocating for is that the budget can increase as it relates to education. And even as I will hope that that will happen, I remember telling a classmate a year ago about that, and what was given to me was a statistic saying that BPS actually spends more per pupil than other major cities on public schools, for instance, like New York, Philadelphia, Chicago. And so I guess the other question would be, what is the funds going to? I know Julia, she's said that many times, and so before the budget gets accepted or what have you, and I know there's only so much that we can do as a counselor, as counselors, but looking at what is that money being, how is it being distributed, and how will this affect not just Black and Latino, but just BPS students in general, but also Black and Latino students, particularly males, as it relates to our future, education, jobs, what have you. So thank you.
Thank you. Domingos, followed by Shatera.
Good evening, folks. Domingos DeRosa, lifelong resident. I want to stick to the bullet points. As you know, the budget's already been passed. We're already going into June. 2025's budget is already spent. That's the reality of it. On our end, as constituents, as residents, as taxpayers, there's times that we don't see that. We don't see how that money's being spent. Again, like the gentleman said a second ago, we spent $33,000 per pupil. BPS is losing students. We went from 55,000 10 years ago, we're down to 48, and we're losing more every day. BPS's budget increased. It's at $1.6 billion. one of the highest in the state, if not the highest. But again, we're cutting 70% of our schools are getting some kind of form of cuts, right? We're fighting to keep White Stadium community owned. And again, like the young people said a little while ago, you know, when you have $60 million in police overtime, that's the $60 million we need to rehab on top of the $50 million that's already being set aside to rehab White Stadium and keep it community-based. So, you know, listening to these conversations over the last few decades, it hasn't changed. We as the constituents, we come here, we speak, we advocate, we scream, we jump, we follow protocols, we try to be as cordial as we can be, and we're still on the wrong end of the stick. To have a job residency policy that was created for Bostonians to be altered so folks outside the city can apply for jobs that we as Bostonians should be granted, you know, again, that's troubling. On the job aspects, you know, on your bullet points, as I was looking over them, and we're talking about all these great things, but on the back end of it, we don't want housing vouchers. We want to buy property. We want to take our families from 33,000 in District 7, District 4, and a few other districts, and take them to that six-figure. We have a residency policy for a reason. These union jobs don't even meet their quotas. I walked on one job site, they barely had 11%. But then on the back end of it, we have a high school that's empty. It's number 14 out of 14 trade schools. I'm a class of 96. I advocate for Madison since the day I walked into the door. First time I met Menino in his office in the Eagle Room in 1992. And we're still fighting to fill this school with students. And like other folks said, you know, our dropout rate, it's a big issue. No one speaks about that. We're at 41%. Black and brown males, 13 to 17, are dropping out faster than we can place them in youth programs. We've had youth speak on jobs. Meanwhile, we have a trade school that's empty. We're not advocating for them to take the trades so they can see the six figures and become part of the middle class. Public safety. We had a shooting today in front of a preschool. The great thing, no one was in the playground. Drive-by continues to happen. Yes, murders are down, shootings are not. The violence are not. Mass incarceration is still taking lives. And we're not talking about that as a public safety. 70% of overdoses in Massachusetts are black and brown men and women. That's a public health crisis, but no one speaks on that. It's not a white issue, it's a humanity issue. And we're dying at alarming numbers. There was over 1,400 overdoses last year that looks like me, sounds like me, come from where I come from. But it's not being put on any agenda to be addressed because it's not a photo op. So I thank you for being here tonight, and I'll leave by saying this last thing. I arrived a little after 6. The front door was locked. It's very disturbing for folks who come to these meetings and don't understand that there's a back door. There's no signs at the door to let people know where to go. So in the future, when we have these meetings after hours, just let people know this is where you need to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for flagging that, Domingos. Chatera, followed by George. George is not here.
Hello, my name is Chatera Thomas, and I work at Teen Empowerment as a mentor in the Visions for the Future program. I am a returning citizen. I just served a 17-year sentence, and I just got out in November. And one thing that I'm realizing that this community needs is reentry services. I love the city of Boston. I love what it's doing as far as reentry, but there's so much more we could do. Patrice Elves, who is at Life After Prison, is a very good friend of mine, and she's helped me out tremendously. She's held a workshop, 2 workshops at Grove Hall Library. I live in Dorchester myself, where she did computer literacy and also talked about PICS, which is post-incarceration syndrome. I wasn't offered a lot of help from the big organizations, and what I'm realizing is the smaller organizations that have helped me find my confidence and find my place in this world, because a lot has changed since 2006 when I was incarcerated. With the help of her organization and other organizations such as Families for Justice for Healing, and other people that have looked at especially women returning. There's a lot of men that are returning, but a lot of women are coming home too, and there's not a lot of resources for us. But yet her organization took me in and helped me out. Because of her guidance and her support and everything, I was offered the Violence Intervention and Prevention Coordinator at Teen Empowerment, which I will be starting in July. But I still struggle. Thank you, but I still struggle. I still don't have housing. I'm still finding other things. It was hard for me to find, just certain things that I need that would have helped me, guided me better. I didn't have a lot of people putting me in the right directions, but I know if we get the funding to help out these organizations, because the truth of the matter is a lot of people are coming home from prison. The board has changed, and they're releasing a lot of people that have served many, many years, not just a couple of years. We're talking decades in prison, where you have to come out and learn this whole new life. I'm asking if we can just please be considerate of the little guys, because for me coming home, and this is from my own personal experience, it's been the little guys that have helped me the most. And I think we need to pay attention to them and what's going on in the community. This has been such an experience. I never thought I'd be in a room like this. I want to thank you all for your time, and please take into consideration the heart and mind of the returning citizen. Thank you.
Thank you. George, followed by James.
Good evening. My name is George Lee. I'm an organizer with Youth Justice and Power Union. One, I want to talk about the City Council and community process around this budget. Councilor Royal, thank you for meeting with us last Friday to talk more about your priorities and hear from us, and also about the process. In that meeting, you talked about having data for what departments have spent year to date this year, and that you're working on getting that. And that's something that the councilors need, that's something the public needs in order to be informed about what amendments are possible in the budget. So just reminding you of that and asking if we can get that information as soon as possible. And also to make sure there's a transparent process around what amendments councilors support. So for example, if we say, hey, there's been a call for youth jobs, to be able to know in a working session, each councilor, do you support this increase or not? Or if there's a call to say the police equipment budget is going up, and some people are proposing taking money from that, ask each councilor, do you support that or not? So that it's not closed conversations in secret, but we actually know where people stand. Also urging y'all to just work together, that like a lot of y'all have said, you support youth jobs. So I hope all of you are filing amendments on it. I hope all of you work together to file amendments together, so we can give all of you credit for it. And to work with us. Sometimes it's hard because councilors keep us guessing. Oh, we don't know what amendment we're filing, we don't know how much money, and we have to wait until the vote to find out what happens. So I hope that each councilor can really work with us to say this is what we're thinking of. And then to stick up for those amendments when the mayor sends the budget back, if she vetoes anything, y'all passed your budget, stick up for it and override any vetoes if there's investments that need to be protected. The other stuff that you've heard many times already is we need money for youth jobs, and specifically there's a lot of capacity for it. Organizations applied for 8,655 slots this summer and didn't get them. They're applying for 5,000 slots during the school year. And that really, young people who get jobs, it really magnifies their impact in the community because they're leading stuff for other residents. They're growing, they're getting mentorship, homework support. We also treat young people well. We give them vacation, we give them sick time. You hear we're trying to increase their wages. As opposed to the waste of adding money to the police budget. Specifically, you want to just point out that equipment budget again one more time. It's going up by $2 million in the mayor's budget, even though it's been underspent. So do you really believe that we should spend money on this make-believe equipment budget they're not even going to spend, and it's going to be better sitting there as opposed to youth jobs or affordable housing? So just encouraging you all to shift that and just stop believing the police stories. They might say, oh, well, this year we'll do better, or we really need this equipment money this year. Here's all the things, fancy things we'll buy. Here's all the contracts we'll have. But at some point, you just got to call BS for what it is. They don't need that money. Some of it they're not even spending. And at the end of the day, you know it's going to be spent better somewhere else in things like youth jobs, affordable housing. Sheila Dillon said, give us the money and we'll spend it. The youth jobs department said, give us money and we'll spend it. So please actually invest in what the community needs. Thank you.
Thank you. James, followed by Michael. James here? No? Michael, and then Angela will be next after Michael. Angelia.
Thank you, councilors. My name is Michael Kane. I'm representing the Mass Alliance of HUD Tenants and the City Rent Subsidy Coalition. We testified the other day at the hearing on the housing budget. There were 2 homeless people who spoke and talked about the need for housing. You heard people tonight, returning citizens who can't find housing. So I'm here to advocate for an increase in the city rent subsidy program, which the council created with the previous mayor, and you raised it, you doubled it because it was a proven pilot program. It works. And Sheila Dillon has said, give them more money. Kenzie Bach said, give them more money, they'll spend it. Right now, the program is oversubscribed, so nonprofit developers are being turned away. They're coming in saying, we need low-income subsidies so that these are not just moderate income or market rate apartments we're building. We want to make them affordable to the people who live in the city. But they're being turned away. One of the programs they have created is they've set aside 50 subsidies for returning citizens. So there should be a connection with the person who just talked a few seconds ago. If she goes to the BHA, they should be able to connect her and get an apartment because that's what these subsidies are for. So it's a proven thing. We're asking that the council add $5 million to the mayor's request. That will be enough for 270 more currently homeless or extremely low-income people, and give them, these are permanent houses. These are not, emergency shelters that end right away. This is a permanent program out of the city budget, like the one in Washington, D.C., and it supplements what's coming from the federal and state. There's a bottomless pit of it. We need 5,000 low-income rent subsidies, but we have to start somewhere. So we ask that you add $5 million from one of the many places, and I'm sure you can, $5 million in a $3.6 billion budget is an accounting error. You can find the money. I'll leave that up to you where to take it. I agree that there's a lot of waste in the police budget. I don't think any police officer should be making more than the mayor of Boston. That doesn't, I never understood that. But that's I know a contract negotiation thing, but there's a lot of waste in the overtime budget. It doesn't add to community safety. It just lines people's pockets, and that should be looked at. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I have a petition. I've given this to a number of people in a memo. A number of the councilors have this. I'd like to share it with anybody that doesn't. I'm not sure. Aaron, I'm not sure you got it.
Thank you. Yeah, no, Shane will grab it and distribute it amongst
great. Thank you.
Councilors. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Angelia Jefferson. I served 31 years at MCI Framingham. I've been home going on almost 2 years. July 27th will make 2 years. While I was in Framingham with Shatira Thomas, she was my best friend, still is, we got our degrees from Boston University, cosmetology license, trained dogs, culinary arts. I mean, you name it, we did it. But I had a natural life, no parole sentence. I didn't think that I was ever going to get out. But Eva Jellison, who is my lawyer, she's the best in the world. When she took my case and she worked her magic through God, of course, and I was able to come home, That process was kind of weird because I didn't have the resources that I needed inside of the prison to help me come outside of the prison. I didn't know anything about laptops. I didn't know anything about cell phones. I didn't know anything about getting on public transportation. When I went to prison, I was 20 years old. When I came home, I was 53. So the world has changed, and everything in my world that I live in now has changed. Since I've been home, I've taken 3 classes to learn how to utilize all this stuff right here. I'm getting there. You know, I'm okay. I have a nice job. I work for Families for Justice is Healing. I am the Participatory Defense Transform Harm Coordinator. I love my job. I love the work that we do. But at the same time, I just feel like there's more that needs to be done with the youth, with the elderly also, because the elderly are suffering along with everyone else. And also, I would like to talk about medical, like mass health and all those things. As far as healthcare goes, I feel like more money needs to be put into that. Like I said, when I was locked up, I didn't get the proper treatment that I needed. Since I've been home, I've had 2 major surgeries, getting ready to have a 3rd major surgery because of the neglect that I got while I was in prison. Now that I'm out here, I have to have, like I said, I'm getting ready to finish in 1 minute. I have to have this 3rd surgery, but I don't have mass health or anything like that. I have to pay for my own health care now, which, you know, is okay in some aspects, but at the same time, just getting out, I need a little help along the way to help me get to what I need to get to and to help me fix the problems that I am currently having. As far as my mental health and as far as my physical health, I need help, just like my friend Shatira, she needs help, just like all of us need help. You know, I don't want for you all to sit here and just look at us and shake your head and say, oh, okay, yeah, look at the black girl standing up there talking. No, we want action. We want for you all to step up. The same way you all say, when it's time for you all to campaign, we're going to do A, B, C, and D. Show and prove, put your money where your mouth is, and we will do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Bessie?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you so much. So I have bullet points, and I'll try to be quick. First of all, I second one of the former speakers who said that it was very difficult to join the meeting, even in person. Joining the meeting virtually was very confusing. So if we want to make these processes as equity-based as possible, we need the website and the instructions to be as clear as possible for all, because I have a master's degree and I am 2nd generation here in this country, and it was still very hard for me to figure out how to join this meeting. That's number 1. Thank you for having this meeting, though. Number 1. Number 2, I am here mainly to ask the council to review and create a transparency process for tickets, parking tickets across the city of Boston. My mom, who is a senior and has a handicap placard, last year from 6 parking tickets that she received because commercial vehicles take ticketed metered spots in the city. She was not able to get a parking spot and she got tickets. And because of her handicap, she wasn't able to park far because she can't walk far. So it's a vicious cycle. And these commercial vehicles do not get ticketed. However, she paid her tickets, but she still owes close to $300 because of late fees. Because the ticketing department at the city of Boston, and I've reached Commissioner Gove with this, I've reached most of my elected representatives at city council with this, and most of them have been able to help to try to fight some of these fees, but they have not been fully removed because the city cannot officially remove late fees verbatim from the ticketing office. Those fees were obtained because the department itself does not process checks other than online payments immediately, checks immediately. And so even if you're paying your tickets, you still get a late fee because they're not checking their mail. I would like to know, where are these ticketing fees going to? Where is all these late fees going to? And I would really ask the council to consider a wage limit. So if there are seniors, if there are working mothers, if a lot of people that spoke today, working teenagers or people that fall below an income range cannot pay late fees, have them be removed. Because right now, after a 4-month process of fighting to get a hearing, and thanks to my city councilors obtaining one to fight some of those fees, I learned that the city is literally hand-tied and cannot remove any of those late fees, even if my mom cannot afford them. So you are putting at risk not only the license and the identification of a senior citizen, but of residents across our city that need their license and their vehicles to be able to get to work and cannot just not pay tickets, but not pay exorbitant amount in ticket late fees that the city collects, and we don't know where they're going to. Use some of that money for some of the causes that some of our fellow residents have been advocating for today. And besides that, I also run a social group for adults to make new friends while supporting local food businesses. We meet once a month and we go to a locally owned food business, whether it is to learn about food or to, eat at a restaurant, etc. And trying to organize these events is incredibly hard, not just for, again, a professional who has marketing experience and is trying to find funds to make this as accessible to everyone who cannot pay a ticket to join some of these events. Other people have spoken about how difficult it is to host community events and sponsor community groups because the city makes it so hard to get funding for community causes. We are not 501c3s. We do not have corporations. We do not have businesses. We are literally taking time out of our days to run community efforts to support our communities. So, for example, funds like, night events or a block party, those are wonderful initiatives, but the process itself is very complex. You need to fill out forms. You need to prove that you're going to use this money for XYZ. And I understand we don't want to go out there and support a party, but make the process easier for community members to host these community efforts and make it more transparent. Because if those funds aren't being used, where are they going?
Thank you, Bessie.
So those 2 things, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Harry? Harry, can you please accept becoming a panelist? Yeah, Vina? And then Sam.
Hi, can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So yeah, my name is Vina and I'm from District 3. I just want to share some demands I have and some reflections from my experiences as a young person and youth leader a decade ago and now a youth worker as an adult. I'm demanding that the city fully fund $37.6 million for good paying year-round youth jobs and 10 outreach workers, an increase of $16 million from the mayor's budget. I also demand that the city provide organizations the slots they need and reverse any cuts, and the city is transparent with the data about filling the jobs and organizational slots. The city needs to add more money for youth jobs, affordable housing, mental health crisis response, and participatory budgeting, and stop the $50 million increase to the Boston Police budget. Young people help with bills for their household, rent, utilities, and food all year-round expenses, not just part of the year. I've been a youth worker for a few years now, and I've noticed that one of the biggest challenges young people face is financial burdens. We come from a low income community, and a lot of people face similar things. I know some youth by the age of 15 who are going to school full time at 8 hours, but also working 3 part-time jobs to support their families. This capitalistic system is weighing on our youth leadership development and capacity. I know this is so cliche, but youth are literally our future. As we move through our futures and transition out, youth are transitioning in, and they need more resources to support and engage them in their leadership development. It truly blows my mind that over the years, BPS and youth jobs are getting cut, and that I'm here advocating for the same things that I did when I was a teenager. Currently, 14 to 18-year-olds are getting paid $15 an hour, and 19 to 24-year-olds are getting paid $20 an hour with no flexibility in the pay rates. Pay rates for youth should go up to $18 to $20 for 14 to 18-year-olds and $22 to $24 for 19 to 24-year-olds. Organizations should be able to pay a range of pay rates for young people based on their experience and as they take on more responsibilities. I know that what I've shared right now sounds really repetitive over the last few weeks, but there's a reason for the repetition and yearning for our needs to be met. All I ask is that y'all please put in your honest and transparent investment in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Sam?
Yes, thank you very much, councilors. I just wanted to speak on behalf of the Boston Green Project. While we have this wonderful budget hearing, I'm a little bit disappointed that we weren't able to have any budget meetings in any of the communities of color, especially since we have 2 wonderful smiling brothers there as the chair and co-chair. I would like to see, hopefully, future meetings in the communities where the chair and co-chair actually live and represent. So, for example, that would be Mattapan and Dorchester and Hyde Park in this case. And the reason for that is because we actually have a lot of people who've already testified and spoken about things that they'd like to see. And so I'm not going to talk about all the things that I'd like to see, but one thing I would like to see is some degree of accountability as far as the Boston residents' job policy and the fact that we have such a low percentage of city budget money going to minority businesses. And I think that the way that you fix that is by being very intentional. For example, right now, Cummings Highway is being redone by McCourt Construction. And people who know anything about McCourt know that he used to live in LA, used to own the Dodgers. And so why is McCourt Construction redoing Cummings Highway? And so this is just one example that I would like to really start to look at a little bit more carefully as we start to look at the budget. I also would like to see, as we're starting to talk about housing and ways that we can help returning citizens and people from all different walks of life here in the city, I'd like to see BHA offloading some of the portfolio, the housing portfolio, by basically doing more rent-to-own housing. We have a lot of people who have been basically in generational poverty, which means that they live in public housing, their parents lived in public housing, and at a certain point, we need to break that cycle. And the best way I think we can do that is by having Section 8 vouchers or city-owned housing that we transfer into rent-to-own housing. And that also would help the city because they've been giving a lot of public housing to developers, but they haven't been giving it to the community. And I know that they have done something similar to rent-to-own housing over at Franklin Hill Apartments, but I'd like to see us do that in more of the BHA properties. And last but not least, I'd like to see a little bit more funding go towards our vocational training programs so that people actually have jobs as soon as they leave high school. And then also, obviously all residents could have jobs from vocational training. But the whole idea is we have to now say if the average house in Boston costs $600,000, how are our BPS graduates going to afford to live here? How is the middle-aged person who's 30 to 50 going to be able to live here if they're all making minimum wage? And so the reality is they're not going to be able to afford to live here unless we're very intentional in teaching them some of the latest technology. So for example, that could be computer science. That could be pharmaceuticals.
Thank you, Sam.
So thank you very much for letting me speak.
Thank you. And I just want to correct for the record that we did have a public hearing at the Lila Frederick. And I think, we were there, and I want to give another shout out to central staff and my colleagues that attended, but we were there till 10 p.m. Say it again? It was from 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. that we stayed. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we did have a hearing inside of District 4, and I believe for the last 3 years or 2 years, every year I've held a hearing inside the district. When I wasn't even the chair of Ways and Means. Casey? All right. Harry's on. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Casey.
Hi, how are you? I want to start with the housing voucher. And then I will talk about the small business and the youth jobs, First, to start with the housing voucher, I would like to see a policy put in to have a transparency and a review of the Boston Housing Authority every quarter. Because I myself, I'm gonna speak now I'm gonna speak openly. I was actually punished, which is pretty much violation of basic human rights, for speaking up, saying that what you give to the white side of Boston, you must also give the same to the black communities of Boston. Equality. And I was punished by the Boston Housing Authority. They actually turned off my housing voucher. And my housing voucher is not from just getting it. I'm a person with disability who work many years in my profession. I went to school, I went to college, you name it. This is part of my federal disability benefit that I put into. And they turn it off without the authority of HUD or anything, out of political retaliation. Intentionally. Without even a notice, without a hearing during COVID. I was made to suffer as a home care nursing patient because I happen to be an advocate in human rights and equality. I asked to, whatever you give on the so-called South Boston, do the same thing, because the cost of living is very high everywhere. If you give someone in Roxbury for 2-bedroom apartment $2,000, they are not going to be able to rent anywhere. Yet you give the maximum required by the federal government HUD, $6,000. Is that something to punish advocates for? So I would like to see a provision where the city councils will review what Boston Housing are doing, because they are causing excessive homelessness to those that should not be homeless, especially those under the federal protective class, which is elderly, disabled, and children. You cannot punish someone or withhold their benefit, their retirement benefit, because you want to stop them from speaking. It's almost like there's a law that says you can't punish whistleblowers. BHA turned off my federal voucher for many years that I suffered during COVID, to the point that it almost destroyed my entire lungs. That shouldn't happen when we have elected officials. You shouldn't attack people that are fighting for racial equality.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you. Harry? Harry, the floor is yours. Harry, can you hear us? If you're talking, you're on mute. Okay. Harry, can you unmute yourself? Harry, are you there? If you're there, can you unmute yourself? Harry, if you could click the button that says unmute. Harry, actually one more time, if you can unmute, or I'm going to have to ask you to submit your testimony in writing. All right. Well, again, I just want to thank all of our residents, all of everyone who came to give public testimony, all the emails that were submitted. I am truly encouraged, and again, I want to thank all my colleagues, my team, central staff for doing the outreach in order to make the people's voice heard while this budget process is happening. Again, thank you. And the hearing on dockets number 0670 through 0678 is adjourned.